It's Wednesday, August 19th. In the headlines, Planning Institute of Jamaica says the country's economy contracted by an estimated 2.9%. CXC says mathematics results shows modest improvement this year. In business news, the manufacturing industry sees 1% growth. Regionally, in Guyana, MV Barima salvage moves ahead as Commission of Inquiry prepares to start. And in sports, West Indies sweep ICC Player of the Month awards. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Jamaica's economy contracted by an estimated 2.9% during the April to June 2026 quarter. This was chalked up to the lingering effects of Hurricane Melissa on economic activity across most industries. At Tuesday's Planning Institute of Jamaica quarterly briefing, Director General Dr. Wayne Henry pointed to a 6.4% decline in goods-producing industry and a 1.7% contraction in services.
The hurricane led to an estimated decline in domestic demand as a result of a reduction in the employed labor force and lower levels of business and consumer confidence. The hurricane's impact was compounded by the El Niño phenomenon, which is expected to bring hotter, drier conditions and heightened risks to agricultural output, water availability, and public health.
When Hurricane Melissa struck the island on October 28, 2025, it left behind damages estimated at Jamaican $1.952 trillion. That figure equates to 56.7% of the nation's gross domestic product. That makes Melissa the costliest natural disaster in the country's recorded history. The Jamaica Teachers Association has rejected the government's latest wage offer, leaving negotiations unresolved with the new academic year just weeks away. At the JTA's 62nd annual conference in Trelawney on Tuesday, 155 of 213 teacher delegates voted against the offer, while 54 voted in favor. One ballot was spoiled and 3 were rejected. The 3-year offer covering April 2025 to March 2028 includes a one-off $80,000 payment for the first year, followed by 5% salary increases in each of the next 2 years. Newly installed JTA President LaSonia Harrison said the association will formally write to the Ministry of Finance and Public Service to continue negotiations, stressing that there are issues important to teachers that require further consideration. Ms. Harrison said the JTA will determine by the end of its conference on Wednesday whether the wage dispute will affect the start of the new school year in September. The Caribbean Examinations Council is reporting generally positive results in this year's regional examinations, with Cape performance improving to more than 93% of candidates earning acceptable grades. At CSEC, the overall pass rate also edged upward, while mathematics recorded a modest improvement, and English A maintained a strong regional performance. Here's more in this report.
Across the Caribbean, the 2026 examination results are showing generally strong performance at the Cape level, with an overall 93.52% of candidates receiving acceptable grades. Director of Operations at CXC, Dr. Nicole Manning, says Caribbean Studies was among the top performing Cape subjects.
We're seeing Caribbean Studies coming out on top as in terms of candidates receiving percentage of candidates receiving acceptable grades. And this year we want to show you that 10 of our territories had acceptable grades between 98% to 100%. So you do have territories that all candidates received acceptable grades. And even though we have 5 below the regional level, look at that, 91% to 97%. That's still very, very, very good.
At the CSEC level, 72.18% of candidates earned acceptable grades, with slight improvement over 2025. Information technology led performance at 83%.
And the overall performance being 72.18%. If you notice there, a slight increase over 2025-2026. Just wanted to zoom to show you that. It's important to note the top performing subjects for CSEC. Now, for CSEC, information technology, as you note, similar to what we had in Cape, was the top performing subject for us. So the regional percentage being 83%, we had 14 territories performing above that regional percentage and 6 territories at or below that percentage.
English A recorded an 80% regional performance.
English A, the regional percentage looking good, and we're looking forward to it continuing upwards. 80% regional percentage, and you can see the balance on either side for the territories, 10 territories above and 11 below.
Dr. Manning says the improvement in mathematics is encouraging, although performance remains a concern in some territories.
The regional percentage being 42%, this is a 4% increase over the previous year. And this is a good story. I don't want anybody to be crying, because any improvement in math is a good improvement. And so it's important for us to be happy about that. Improvement is improvement. And so 14 territories had 43% to 77% in terms of the above the regional percentage, and 7 territories, had between 30% and 38%.
The Caribbean Examinations Council also officially launched the Caribbean Targeted Education Certificate, or CTEC, following a successful mathematics pilot that saw 88% of candidates achieve acceptable grades.
I described CTEC as a game changer, and I promised then that we are witnessing the beginning of the end of the Caribbean Examinations Council as we know it. Today, we keep that promise, and we make history in Anguilla by announcing that the achievement of the highly successful CTEC pilot in mathematics in the May-June 2026 examinations, and with the approval of our Board of Governors, CXC is pleased to officially launch the Caribbean Targeted Education Certificate, CTEC.
CXC says preliminary results are now accessible through the student portal and is congratulating candidates across the region on their performance. For the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has officially opened the Alpha Mercy Historical Center in Kingston, marking nearly 150 years of service and social contribution by the Sisters of Mercy of Jamaica. The museum, supported in part by a $100 million investment from the Tourism Enhancement Fund, is aimed at preserving Jamaica's history, strengthening national identity, and creating new opportunities for cultural and experiential tourism. Speaking at Tuesday's opening at the Alpha campus, Dr. Holness stressed the importance of preserving Jamaica's heritage, particularly for younger generations. He said historical buildings, institutions, documents, traditions, and stories are part of the country's national wealth and are essential to strengthening national identity and confidence.
Through its collection and preservation of artifacts, documents, and other materials, it will allow future generations to encounter this history directly. We must take the preservation of our history seriously. Our historical buildings, institutions, documents, traditions, and stories are part of Jamaica's national wealth. Once lost, many of them cannot be recovered. Preserving them is therefore not an exercise in nostalgia. It is an investment in identity.
The Prime Minister also commended the Sisters of Mercy for their long-standing contribution to education, social welfare and care for vulnerable Jamaicans. In the business report, the Planning Institute of Jamaica has reported that the economy contracted by an estimated 2.9% during the April to June 2026 quarter. However, Director General Dr. Wayne Henry says the manufacturing industry grew by an estimated 1% as increased output in the other manufacturing sub-industry more than offset an estimated contraction in the food, beverages, and tobacco component. Speaking during the PIOJ's quarterly briefing on Tuesday, he also noted that the performance of the services industry reflected contractions across all subsectors, with the exception of financial and insurance activities and wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles, and installation of machinery and equipment.
For the other manufacturing sub-industry, the estimated increase was as a result of higher output of non-metallic minerals due to cement production up 56.8% and clinker up 203.9%.
Denise Williams has more news from the financial market.
Jamaica's inflation rate increased in July, with the All-Jamaican Consumer Price Index rising to 1.2%, according to the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin. The increase was driven mainly by a 6.3% jump in the transportation division, largely reflecting the second phase of increases in route taxi and hackney carriage fares. Food prices also contributed to the increase, with food and non-alcoholic beverages division rising 0.6%. Meanwhile, inflation for the 12 months to July stood at 7.5%. The main contributors to the annual increase were food and non-alcoholic beverages up 9.4%, transport up 13.6%, and housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels up 5.2%. The latest inflation figure remains above the BOJ's target range of 4 to 6%. For the trading period of August 18, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 13,682,382 units, representing 43.90% of market sales. JFP Limited with 3,827,908 units, representing 12.28% of market sales. Woodcats International Limited shares of 1,454,538 units, representing 4.67% of market sales. Investor activity remained concentrated in distribution and transportation plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for August 18, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $159.40 and buying at $157.41. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $1.21 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $113.19 and was bought for $111.98. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $1.30 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $214.47 and was bought for $213.17. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, when food and other essentials become more expensive, while salaries remain stagnant, households often turn to credit to fill the gap. The ultimate goal is to move from using credit to survive rising costs to using financial capability to build wealth. Good credit gives you access to capital. Growing income gives you capacity. Assets create wealth. The problem is that your credit report records the financial consequences, not the reason behind them. So it doesn't show that groceries become more expensive. It shows higher credit card balances, increased utilization, more debt, late payments if they occur, and reduced borrowing capability. The solution isn't simply to stop using credit, it's to protect your credit worthiness while increasing your financial capability and capacity. That means protect your credit, pay on time, increase income, build cash reserves, acquire assets, and the ultimate goal is to use credit to build yourself. And that is why your credit report is such a powerful tool. It gives you guidance as to where you need to build. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, the Guyanese government is moving ahead with efforts to salvage the MV Barima, while the Commission of Inquiry into the tragedy is expected to begin its substantive work in early September. President Irfan Ali provided that update Tuesday, while also outlining long-term support being planned for families affected by the tragedy. Newsroom Guyana's Kurt Campbell has that report.
Today marks exactly 1 month since the ill-fated sinking of the MV Barima. The aged state-owned passenger and cargo ferry that capsized and sank on the night of Saturday, July 18, 2026, roughly 10 nautical miles off Guyana's Essequibo coast, remains at the bottom of the ocean. The disaster left 73 confirmed dead and about 30 people still missing and feared dead, with 76 survivors rescued. But with the salvage process advancing, and as the MV Barima Commission of Inquiry team prepares to begin work, the focus now is on two things: finding out exactly what happened to the MV Barima and dealing with the consequences for the families left behind. President Irfan Ali says the salvage process has moved a step forward. Expressions of interest closed last Friday, and a number of companies have since been shortlisted. The president did not give an exact number, although he indicated it could be around 10 or more. The shortlisted companies will now be invited to submit their prices for the salvage operation.
One follow-up, how many EOIs were received, and is there a differentiation between local and foreign companies?
I don't have the exact number. I think it's 10 or more. I don't hold me to that. And I don't know that there are distinction between local. I know there was a criteria, right, and companies would have made proposals in relation to that criteria. Mm-hmm. That is why there's a shortlisting process to ensure that those companies that meet the criteria are those that.
At the same time, preparations are underway for the Commission of Inquiry. The team is already in place and has started establishing its procedures, with the President saying the actual work is expected to begin in early September.
In relation to the COI, the team is in place. They have started looking at their procedures, settling their procedures, and working out their work plan. And from what I'm told, in early September, the actual work would commence here on the ground.
But while the investigation and the salvage operation move forward, the government is also looking at what happens to the families in the longer term. President Ali says support is being designed for families of those who died, those who remain missing, and the people who are working aboard the vessel. And he says the response will go beyond immediate financial assistance.
I know they have now an outreach plan for every single region where they're going to go into the region. They're building out the regional network to create a regional support system and regional hub to support these families also. I myself have also been on a daily basis trying to contact different families and so on.
That includes mental health and counseling support, spiritual support, medical assistance, and help with legal and documentation issues. Particularly, attention is also being given to children who have been affected. Kurt Campbell, Newsroom.
Trinidad and Tobago is stepping up efforts to prepare young people for opportunities in the growing blue economy. A youth empowerment project is equipping participants with technical and entrepreneurial skills for careers in fisheries, aquaculture, maritime services, and food processing, while promoting the sustainable use of marine resources. The details are from TTT News.
The Blue Economy Youth Empowerment Project, led by the Caribbean Fisheries Training and Development Institute, comes at a time when Trinidad and Tobago is moving beyond traditional uses of its marine resources and finding new ways to generate economic value while protecting the environment. What began with a small group of students is now opening doors to more, according to the Institute's principal, Wesley Pancham.
Yes, we began with 44 participants, 309 more waiting to enter, 353 young people choosing possibility over limitation. I do not see a waiting list. I see 309 futures waiting for opportunity. Future fishers, technicians, entrepreneurs, maritime professionals, and community leaders who will shape Trinidad and Tobago.
With this investment in young people, Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Ravi Ratiram noted that the country's approach to the ocean must change. A focus on sustainable development and greater benefits for coastal communities must be adopted.
Aquaculture is creating new possibilities for controlled and sustainable aquatic food production. Food processing and value addition are creating opportunities beyond the landing sites. And marine services are generating demand for new technical competencies. Entrepreneurship is creating opportunities for young people to move from being job seekers to becoming job creators. This is why programs such as this one really matters.
The minister also pointed to the growing importance of aquaculture and the potential for Trinidad and Tobago to benefit from the development in aquatic food production.
While Latin America and the Caribbean recorded a significant aquatic animal trade surplus, for Trinidad and Tobago, this presents a very important opportunity for all of us. Such young people must bring something that the sector urgently needs: a willingness to innovate, a willingness to create, and a willingness to be the pioneer of your future.
The project is also receiving support from the marine sector. President of Marine Services Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Jesse James, described the initiative as an important investment in workplace renewal.
This effort aligns directly with our sector's urgent need for training and workforce renewal by involving young people in the community level we are creating lifestyle, lifelong technical skills for you young people.
The project aims to equip young people with technical skills while preparing them for opportunities across fisheries, aquaculture, maritime services, food processing, and other areas of the blue economy. Faith Chariot, TTT News.
In sports, we hit the stumps with some cricket news. The West Indies has struck big at the International Cricket Council's Player of the Month Awards, securing an unprecedented double. We have the details.
West Indies all-rounder Justin Graves has won the ICC Player of the Month award for July following his outstanding performances in Test cricket, while captain Hayley Matthews has claimed the Women's Award for her exceptional efforts in one-day internationals, giving the West Indies a rare double. According to a release from the ICC, this was the first time players from the West Indies won both awards and only the fifth such instance since the inception of the awards in January 2021. Graves helped save the second test against Sri Lanka in North Sound with a solid 180 after the visiting side had amassed 549 for 9, ensuring a 1-0 win in the two-match ICC World Test Championship Series. In the first of two tests against Pakistan in Trinidad, he grabbed 5 for 27 and 2 for 12 in a 90-run win to put his side ahead. Matthews struck centuries in the first two matches and finished with an aggregate of 265 runs against Ireland at an average of 132.5 and a strike rate of 117.25 as the West Indies won the series 3-0. She also finished with 7 wickets at an average of 17.57 and an economy rate of 4.10, taking at least 2 wickets in all 3 matches. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sports.
And that's the news on PBCJ. Pleasant viewing.